12 Years That Shook the World tells true stories from Holocaust history that may not be suitable for everyone. Previously, on 12 Years That Shook the World, Germans and their Lithuanian collaborators unleash terror on Jews in the shtetl of Eyshishok. They march Zvi, his father, and his brother to the old Jewish cemetery on the outskirts of town. And there, Zvi sees that all the Jewish men and teenage boys who'd been marched away from the field now lie shot to death, murdered.
The air became so heavy.
When the shooting continues, Zvi is grazed by a bullet, although he survives and escapes. But left behind in the mass grave are Zvi's father, brother, and nearly all the Jewish men and teenage boys of Asashuk. After hiding on a barn roof for several days, Leon and Benjamin hear Germans close by, so the boys sneak off to what they think will be a better hiding place, the Catholic cemetery at the edge of town. But soon, Germans and their Lithuanian collaborators march Jewish women and children of Eyshishok right next to the Catholic cemetery. From a distance, Leon and Benjamin watch, terrified, as every last Jewish woman and child of Eyshishok is murdered.
It wasn't a matter just of executing and killing people. It was a matter of savagery.
The near entirety of the Jewish community of Eyshishok, men, women, and children, had been killed by the Nazis. Miriam had already left Eyshishok. She's hiding on a farm with her family, and she hears about the massacres.
We couldn't believe it. No Jews in town, not one left. They killed everybody.
For Zvi, Miriam, and Leon, escaping and surviving these massacres is just the beginning. The threat is not over. Nazi killing squads are swarming the region. They continue on from town to town, murdering entire Jewish communities, and they don't plan to stop until all Jewish people are wiped out. Zvi, Miriam, and Leon now go on the run, hiding, resisting, and fighting to stay alive. From the US Holocaust Memorial Museum, I'm Erin Harper. This is 12 Years That Shook the World. Episode 5, An Enemy Around Every Corner. After Zvi escaped the massacre, he ran to the home of his mother's Polish friends, Yuzha and her brother. She washes Zvi's wound and brings him clothing. She fixes him a place to sleep in their barn. Here's historian Dr. J. Luke Ryder.
And then he spends the next several days in a state of shock, and he's drifting in and out of consciousness. And eventually he recovers enough to get a sense of what has occurred.
I realized, it took me 2 days to realize what happened to me, where I am, what I'm doing here.
Zvi recalls the horror, what the Germans and their Lithuanian collaborators did to his father, brother, and all the Jewish men and teenage boys of Eyshishok. Then Zvi thinks of his mother and 3 of his sisters who had been imprisoned in the field in Eyshishok. Yuzha's brother explains to Zvi that the Germans and their collaborators also murdered the women and children of Eyshishok, and that Zvi's mother and 3 sisters are dead. Soon, Zvi hears about his other sister, Judith, who he helped escape from the synagogue before the massacres. Since then, Judith had run from town to town, trying to keep hidden, but her affiliation with communism was too well known. Zvi hears that she was caught and thrown in prison, and shortly after, Judith was hanged. With that, Zvi, at age 16, realizes that he is now the sole survivor of his family. Yuzha sits with him as he cries, but at night when Yuzha leaves and it's dark in the barn, Zvi is once again all alone. In the meantime, Miriam thinks the best plan is to stay on the move. They hide with Polish people they know in the surrounding countryside, never staying in one place too long. 1 day here, 2 days there.
Like mice. You leave, you jump, you hide.
But after their community was destroyed, Miriam and her family long to be with other Jewish people. Miriam hears that Jews are gathering in the nearby town of Roden. The town is 9 miles south of Eyshishok, and at this time it's being overseen by a different group of Germans. Miriam thinks maybe those Germans are less cruel and perhaps Jews would be safer there. So at night, Miriam's family heads to the town of Roden. And there, Miriam sees Jewish people from Eyshishok, more than 200 Jews who had somehow escaped and found their way there. In the town of Roden, German officials soon create a ghetto for Jews. They fence off a small area, a street or two, deliberately separating Jews from the rest of the local population. Inside, there's very little food. About 2,000 Jews are forced to live together, crammed into just a few blocks. Miriam, her mother, and several of her siblings are among those forced into the ghetto. They end up packed into a house with 3 other Jewish families, and they wait to see what happens next.
We didn't know what will be with us. We existed. We didn't know what to think even.
Leon and his brother Benjamin were still hiding with a family friend in the countryside. And one by one, the boys get news that their mother, grandmother, sister, and father are alive. They were all hiding out with Polish friends. Now, Leon's whole family reunites.
We were hugging and kissing and crying.
Leon's family, too, decides to go to the Roden ghetto. Now they face the harsh realities of life in the ghetto. Outside their window, guards patrol back and forth. They enforce a curfew. Germans also inflict random violence against Jewish residents of the ghetto. They even sometimes kill Jews at random. But soon it will be winter, and it will turn bitter cold. So at least for the time being, Leon's family will stay here in the Roden ghetto. 6 months pass. The cold winter turns to spring. It's now May of 1942. Leon and Miriam remain in the Roden ghetto with their families. But soon, once again, everything is about to change. One Saturday night after dark, someone unexpected shows up in the ghetto. It's Korkuch, the Polish farmer who's been hiding her family. He sneaks into the Roden ghetto and quietly goes around to houses. He knocks on windows to try to find Miriam's family because Korkuch is suspicious. He has a feeling something bad is going to happen in the ghetto.
It was about 11 o'clock at night, and we weren't asleep yet. And he said, I went to sleep. I had a very bad dream, and I came to take you out from the ghetto. And you have to get out.
They have to make a decision before Korkuch gets caught talking to them. Moments later, Miriam and her family decide to escape. Soon they find out that Korkuch was right. The very next morning, Leon wakes up to find that Germans and their collaborators have surrounded the Roden ghetto. Leon feels in his gut this is another massacre. Leon's family quickly hides in an attic as the Germans and their collaborators start marching people away, and again, murdering more than 1,000 Jewish men, women, and children. Once it seems the massacre is over, Leon and his family crawl out of their hiding place, and Germans announce that any Jews still alive in the Roden ghetto will be deported to another ghetto. But Leon thinks there's no way he's going to let his family stay in any ghetto and risk this danger again. Leon has an idea. He had just heard rumors about Jews hiding out in a forest nearby. Leon thinks in the forest they might be safer, but his parents are skeptical. It seems impossible to them. They ask, how will they live in the forest? Out in the elements? Where will they get food? After days of debate, Leon finally convinces his father, brother, and younger sister to leave the ghetto and go live in the forest. But Leon's mother has to make a choice. Does she stay in the ghetto with her elderly mother, or does she escape with the rest of the family?
She said, you go ahead, save yourself, I cannot leave my mother.
Leon questions himself. Should he stay in the ghetto to protect them? Should he insist his mother come to the forest and leave his grandmother behind? This impossible decision tears at his heart. Finally, Leon chooses to go to the forest and leave his mother and grandmother behind in the ghetto. He hugs his mother tight and kisses her goodbye. As he walks away, he looks back at her, standing in the doorway, the woman who empowered him all his life. Leon memorizes her face. Then he walks away.
And every time I kept turning around just to take another look at her. After a while, we just got out of sight.
And with that, Leon, his brother Benjamin, his younger sister Friedke, and their father Sheol run from the ghetto towards the forest. Meanwhile, Zvi is still hiding on a farm with Yuzha and her brother in their barn. Yuzha sneaks into the barn to visit Zvi a few times a day. She brings food, and her brother brings news. He tells Zvi about Jews being killed in the Roden ghetto and of the other towns nearby where Germans are murdering entire Jewish communities. This town, that town, places Zvi knows, people he knows. Zvi is trying to process all of this. The Germans are destroying not only his shtetl, but his people. At night, when Zvi manages to sleep, he only wakes up with nightmares. He screams and cries, and after a while, something else occurs to Zvi. It's now been 8 months since the massacre in Eyshishok. 8 months since Zvi has been living in Yuzha's barn. He feels he's becoming a burden to them, and even endangering them. He also misses speaking Yiddish and being with his Jewish community, so Zvi decides to move on, hoping he will find Jews to live with. He heads out into the countryside, not sure what or who he will find. A few more months pass. It's now summer of 1942, and Miriam is still in hiding on a farm with Korkuch after he rescued her family from the Roden ghetto. Miriam's family is giving Korkuch money to pay for their food, clothing, shoes, and other necessities in hiding. The money is also helping Korkuch afford to hide several other Jewish families on his land. Germans still have control of this area, and they're on constant patrol. Some non-Jewish people in the villages are growing nervous. Many think if Jews are in hiding nearby, the Germans will find out and retaliate with violence. So now Miriam doesn't only fear the Germans, she fears the neighbors as well. Here's historian Dr. Lindsay MacNeill.
People are paying attention to each other. They are noticing changes in patterns.
They used to feel that this and this family is hiding somebody. They had a very funny feeling. If they saw a extra from the chimney, an extra smoke is coming out. She's baking bread more than normally she would bake for herself.
They had to worry that a neighbor, a friend, even a family member would denounce them, would tell on them to the German authorities.
And then they used to come to the homes and find and kill them. It was every day we heard those stories.
It's not long before someone finds out Korkuch is hiding Jews. Now, Korkuch himself has to go on the run from the Germans. But first, he finds new places for all Jews who he's currently hiding on his land. So Miriam's family heads out at night to their new hiding spot. Leon and his family continue their long trek into the forest. As Leon walks deeper into the woods, he notices the lush greenery, the summer flowers. He thinks it feels so different. He smells food cooking and sees smoke rising from campfires and some 200 people gathered in a makeshift campsite. And to Leon, it feels like freedom.
We couldn't believe our eyes what we saw there. There was a group, a family group, men, women, and children that escaped and made a life for themselves in the forest.
Men take turns guarding the campsite on all sides, armed with whatever guns they've been able to get. So, feeling protected, Leon builds a small structure out of tree branches to shelter his family, and by nightfall, they lie down to sleep.
It's the first time, I think, in weeks or months that we slept, kind of peace.
Over time, Leon says a fire has started to burn inside him, a longing for revenge. Revenge for what the Germans and their Lithuanian collaborators did to Jews in Eyshishok. While living in the forest camp, one of the men approaches Leon and asks him if he wants to join their group of Jewish and Soviet partisans, armed resistance fighters. And Leon feels this is what he's been waiting for, the chance to fight back against the Germans. So without hesitation, Leon joins the group to become an armed resistance fighter. Their goal is to stop German soldiers and their supply trains from going deeper into occupied Soviet territory, essentially to kill German soldiers and blow up their supply trains. But Leon is only 16 years old, and he doesn't even know how to use a gun.
They started showing me how to use a rifle. They started showing me how to use a grenade. They started showing me how to use a machine gun. And they started showing me how to use dynamite.
Leon works especially with the dynamite. Along with the group of resistance fighters, Leon blows up sometimes 6 German supply trains in 1 week. Leon says when he sees those trains explode, he feels joy. And when any surviving German soldiers run away from the ruins, Leon and the fighters attack, shooting the soldiers with their rifles. Throughout the summer of 1942, Zvi keeps on the move. He goes from place to place across the rural landscape, at times crawling into a hole in the ground, hiding in a haystack, or staying tucked away in a farmer's barn, roaming, wandering, and looking for any scraps of food.
Between the bushes and the forest, and in between the farmers.
And he's calling on different farmers that he knows might be friendly to him. There's this kind of net of support in the countryside from these connections, and he goes and knocks at their door, and then they open the door, and then they hand out a roll or a bit of cheese or a bottle of milk. And it keeps him alive for a number of months.
And in this time, Zvi thinks of his father's last words to him during the massacre in Eyshishok.
There's also this feeling for revenge, this push to follow what he is now interpreting as a command, I think, from his father. The last words from his father, you will survive and you will seek revenge.
His words were accompanying me all my time, from running away from the graves.
And so, as soon as he's able to, I think he begins seeking that revenge.
The season is turning. It's now fall of 1942. It's been nearly a year since the massacre in Eyshishok. Miriam and her family are hiding on another farm, this time with a Polish widow and her daughters. And Miriam knows it will again be the Jewish New Year, Rosh Hashanah. Here's historian Dr. Edna Friedberg.
She did the best she could to keep track of the Jewish date. The Hebrew calendar is a lunar calendar, and it has its own rhythm and holidays. And she kept hold of that as a sort of grounding force to know, even if she couldn't celebrate it, what holiday should be happening today.
We knew when it's holidays, just by the moon. We knew when it's Pesach, we knew when it's Rosh Hashanah.
She tried to keep the same religious dietary restrictions, tried to keep kosher, even in circumstances where they could barely get anything to eat.
Miriam still takes her little prayer book everywhere she goes. She prays every day, just like she had back home in Eyshishok.
These kinds of spiritual or mental resistance, something that maybe no one else even knows, this is a mode of survival. It is a way of not being defined by what is happening to you, but instead holding tight to who you were before, to an identity and to a sense of humanity that you will not allow to be stripped from you.
For Miriam, the days are long. Most of the time, Miriam and her family can't do much. They're trapped in their hideout. They sit together but can't talk or even whisper for fear of being found out by Germans or suspecting neighbors. She gets lost in thought, wondering when will the hiding end? When will the war end?
And we don't know what it'll be tomorrow, what it'll be in a minute.
So again, she prays.
We prayed harder. We prayed harder and believed there'll come a miracle.
Zvi continues to roam the area, and one day he crosses paths with a Jewish girl, a teenager about Zvi's age, Rivka. Rivka is one of the few survivors who escaped the massacre of the Roden ghetto a few months back.
We had a lot in common to tell stories. I was telling her my way of life, my style of life in the hiding, what I'm doing all day, how I'm spending my life. And she was telling me her story of life.
They developed this bond pretty quickly. And even in all of this death and extremity that's surrounding them, they have this kind of romantic feeling for each other.
Rivka and Zvi stay up late into the night talking.
We're just sitting holding hands.
Zvi is now growing close with a Polish couple who's been helping him survive, giving him food and shelter, the Voivodskis. They've become like parents to Zvi, so he brings Rivka to meet them. They're so happy for Zvi that he's found a girlfriend. They cook a meal for the young couple and tell them that someday they'll have beautiful children together.
And soon they decide to become a pair and try to live together. The two of them decide to stay in one of the forest camps with another group of Jews, at least for a little while.
Throughout the fall of 1942, Leon continues to blow up German trains with the armed resistance fighters. But eventually, Leon decides it's safer for him and his family to move on from life in the forest because winter is about to set in. Although they know that the ghettos established by German authorities are dangerous and miserable, Leon decides their best hope to survive the severe winter cold is to go into another ghetto, this time in the town of Grudnau. So they pack up their makeshift home in the forest and set out. But within weeks, German officials announced that they will deport all Jews from this ghetto to an undisclosed location. The Germans start marching people away by the thousands. Leon and his family immediately know this is a bad sign, and they have to escape. So quickly, they try to find a way to sneak out of the ghetto. German guards have sealed off the ghetto with barbed wire fences, but Leon finds a potential way out, a building that has been bombed, leaving an opening where they might be able to escape. The problem is, the opening is being guarded by 2 German soldiers on patrol.
We decided that the only way that we can get away is to kill the guards.
But who is going to kill them? Among the group are Leon, his brother Benjamin, his father Shael, his sister Friedke, as well as several other Jews who are also trying to escape. After some debate, the group nominates Leon because, despite the fact that he's just 16 years old, he's the only one in their group who has experience as an armed fighter. Leon has bombed trains and fired rifles, but here in the ghetto they don't have any guns. The only possible weapons they have are butcher knives, and Leon has never killed anyone up close with his hands. But he knows it's the only way to get his family out.
Now, how do you do it?
Leon studies the 2 German guards to learn their routines, noting where they walk, when they're together, when they're alone. Leon makes a plan. His father and the rest of the group stand far back watching.
And I was rehearsing, running up and rehearsing how to do it.
And when Leon sees that one guard is alone, Leon makes his move. Gripping the knife, Leon sneaks up behind the guard, covers his mouth, and cuts his throat. The guard slumps down into the snow. Leon hides nearby, still gripping the knife. Soon the other guard returns and bends down to see what has happened. Leon pounces, stabbing the second German guard in the back. Leon steps back, overwhelmed with disgust. Leon leans over the edge of the bombed-out rubble and throws up. His father, Shael, rushes over to gather Leon, and the group hurries out of the ghetto into the darkness. As Leon runs away, he still feels sick to his stomach for what he had just done.
In my own mind, I was thinking about it. I just killed 2 men that I didn't see their faces. But I killed 2 people that I don't know if they were innocent, were they guilty, were they bad people, good people. I felt very, very bad, but I had no choice.
Leon says he also feels joy. He just saved his family from what was almost certainly death. But their relief is short-lived. By now, it's December of 1942. Leon, his father, his brother, and his younger sister face the bitter, cold winter. Over the next few months, temperatures drop below freezing. Icy winds whip across their bodies. They go from place to place, looking for help from local farmers. They walk in the dark through the mounds of snow, but never on the roads, because German trucks are constantly patrolling. And even though Leon's father knows this area and knows these woods, in the dark, with the snow covering the landscape, everything looks different. It's unfamiliar. Sometimes they get turned around and end up walking in circles. The family is freezing and exhausted.
I remember my sister lying down many, many times and saying, "Leave me here, I cannot go on."
Leon and Benjamin hoist her up, nearly carrying her. They keep moving on, and when they ask for help, most farmers turn them away. Others take pity on them and let them sleep inside, despite the risk of getting caught. They give Leon's family food, dry clothes, and a warm place to sleep for the night. The winter months pass. It's now spring of 1943. Rivka and Zvi are now living together in a small forest campsite with other Jewish people, and they seem to be relatively safe. But a local farmer has just revealed their camp location to authorities, and one night they wake up to find that they're surrounded by armed men.
German officials have ordered a sweep of that particular area, and Lithuanians and Germans storm the camp, and Zvi loses track of Rivka. But Zvi escapes, and he doesn't really know what has happened to her.
Not knowing what to do, Zvi runs to the home of the Voyevodskis, the couple who'd been taking care of Zvi. He asks them for help, and the Voyevodskis soon find out that in the attack, Rivka was killed. And just like that, Zvi's world is shattered again. Zvi learns the name of the man, the farmer who gave up the location of the camp. Apparently the farmer had betrayed them in exchange for some cooking oil. Zvi once again thinks back to the last words his father spoke to him. Zvi says, "I decided I must take revenge on who betrayed us." Zvi gets a gun, and he finds out what path the farmer takes on a nearby road.
He ambushes this farmer along the road and kills him, and then pins a Star of David on the body as a way to warn, if you betray hidden Jews, this is your fate.
On this night, Zvi dreams of his family being murdered, Rivka being murdered. He says, "There is no one else. Now I've lost everything." Through the spring of 1943, farmers helped Leon and his family get by while on the run. Polish farmers, Lithuanian farmers, people his father knew before the war. And now that the weather is mild, Leon and his family make the trek back into the forest to be with other Jews. Leon knows he wants to get back to the armed resistance group and get back to fighting the Germans. But this time the group says Leon can only join if he can muster up his own weapons. Leon finds a farmer who is willing to sell them rifles. So Leon's brother Benjamin and a few other Jewish men agree to meet the farmer to collect the weapons. But this exchange doesn't go as planned. Benjamin and the other Jewish men wait for the farmer inside a barn, but it seems someone has betrayed them. Suddenly, the barn is surrounded by armed men who open fire, shooting at Benjamin and the other Jewish men inside.
And one by one they were killed. My brother was killed.
Leon can't believe it. The pain was horrible and unbearable. The brother who he grew up with, went fishing with, played soccer with, their whole childhood. Benjamin was next to him on the roof in Eyshishok and in the cemetery during the massacre. Now it's just Leon, his father, and his sister, together in the woods, torn down and beyond heartbroken. Months later, Leon's family receives more news. It's about Leon's mother and grandmother. The last time Leon saw them was in the Roden ghetto, when Leon's mother stayed behind with Leon's grandmother and the rest of the family escaped to the forest. Just as Leon feared, that ghetto was not a safe place for his family to stay. Leon gets word that the Nazis may have sent his mother and grandmother to a place called Treblinka. And even though Leon doesn't know exactly what Treblinka is, he's heard that people who are sent there never return. This tears him apart. He thinks of the last moment he saw his mother in the ghetto.
Here is the time when my mother needed me most. She needed me to protect her, to help her. I ran out on her. I deserted her. And this is something that I cannot swallow. I cannot forgive myself.
What Leon suspected about Treblinka was true. In fact, Treblinka was a Nazi killing center where Nazis and their collaborators murdered more than 900,000 Jews using poison gas. It's unknown whether or not his mother and grandmother were among them. The summer has passed, and it's nearly fall of 1943. It's been almost 2 years since the massacre of Jews in Eyshishok. Miriam and her family are still in hiding with a Polish widow and her daughters on their farm. And sometimes Miriam goes into the forest nearby to cut down trees. She wants to help collect wood for their fires. So with her axe, Miriam walks out into the woods. She picks out a tree and raises her axe. She takes a swing, then another and another, hacking away at the tree. Miriam's eyes well up with tears. With every swing of the axe, she cries.
There was so much tears in that forest. Every tree that I cut, that ground was soaked with my tears.
She thinks of everything that the Nazis had done to her family, to Jews in Asashuk, to her people.
I felt this is how we are cutting us down. Like I should not cut the trees, because why do I do it to the trees when we've been cut down like this? But I couldn't take to cut down a tree. I couldn't.
After nearly 2 years on the run, hiding from German soldiers and their local collaborators, Zvi, Miriam, and Leon's lives are torn apart. The Germans are still hunting Jews. The neighbors are still keeping watch. The threat of death at every turn. Who will betray them? Who will sell them out? And soon, things are about to get more dangerous. Coming up on 12 Years That Shook the World.
They burned her alive, and they burned everything there.
They were coming like an avalanche.
Why should they live in a place where everybody's dead? Everybody's dead around.
From the US Holocaust Memorial Museum, I'm Erin Harper. Joining me were historians at the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum, Dr. Edna Friedberg, Dr. Lindsay MacNeill, and Dr. J. Luke Ryder. Our show is written and produced by me. Our story is researched by Meredith Guay, with additional research by Dr. Lindsay MacNeill, as well as Claire Cronin, and historian Dr. William Meineke. We offer a special thank you to Dr. Simon Goldberg and Hannah G. Green. This story is informed by the work of historian Dr. Yafa Eliach. Some oral history interviews are from the US Holocaust Memorial Museum's collection as a gift from Jeff Bieber, including Miriam Kabacznik Schulman from 1997, Leon Kahn from 1998, and Zvi Michaeli from 1997 and 1999. An interview with Miriam Kabacznik Schulman from 1996 is a gift from Randy M. Goldman. You can watch these testimonies online in the museum's collection. Other interviews of Miriam Kabacznik Schulman from 1998, Leon Kahn from 1996, and Zvi Michaeli from 1996 are from the archive of the USC Shoah Foundation, the Institute for Visual History and Education. For more information, visit sfi.usc.edu. Leon Kahn's interview from 1982 is from the Montreal Holocaust Museum. For a complete bibliography for our story and for more resources, look for the link in the episode show notes or visit ushmm.org/12 years podcast. This podcast is funded in part by support from the Crown Family Philanthropies, the Joyce and Irving Goldman Family Foundation, Walmart Foundation, and from the Judd, Randy, Stephen, and Barry Mulkin families. Music and sound design by Salt Audio. Lead editor and sound effects by Aaron Kennedy. Listeners, we need your help to make 12 Years That Shook the World even better. We want to hear from you. What resonates? What moves you? And what do you think of our latest season? Look for the survey link in the episode show notes or send an email to podcast@ushmm.org. If you like our show, follow us on your favorite podcast app and share our podcast with others. Thank you for listening.